Self-worth, by definition, is knowing your own value without having to earn it or prove it. It's your host, Angelina Dano, here to guide you on the worthy journey where you finally stop seeking validation and start owning your power. Ready to level up? Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Worthy Journey. I'm your host, Angelina Dano, also known as the Self-Worthy Coach, and I'm genuinely so glad that you're here. Whether this is your first episode or your seventh one, I want to thank you for pressing play, for taking the time for yourself, and for choosing growth today. Let me ask you something. Have you ever cried into a pint of ice cream, wondering if you should just sit with your feels or get up and run a marathon instead? Yeah, me too. Maybe your brain feels like a hamster wheel on turbo speed. You're not sure if you're supposed to just feel your emotions or positive vibes only your way into oblivion. Sounds familiar, right? Today's episode is going to give you some relief from that mental chaos. I'm sharing real tools to help you regulate your emotions and to stop the overthinking loop, including one technique that helped me heal from complex PTSD and social anxiety. So grab your tea, your journal, and let's be real, your laundry basket if you're multitasking, and make sure you listen until the end. Now, before we dive in, if you love this kind of content and you want more episodes that feel like soul-level conversations, make sure to hit subscribe and to share this with a friend who overthinks everything. And if anything I say today resonates with you, please leave a comment below or DM me on any of my socials at The Self-Worthy Coach. I seriously love hearing your thoughts and your stories. So if there's ever a topic that you want me to cover, please tell me. This show is for you. Okay, so let's talk about that weird emotional gray area where we all live in sometimes. The place between I deserve to feel my feelings and maybe I'm just spiraling. It sounds like something a monk would master on a mountain after 40 years of meditating, right? I used to really struggle with this. Like, am I supposed to give myself a mental health day and sob into a container of dairy-free ice cream while binging old Disney movies? Or should I pick myself up, slap on some motivational Dr. Joe Dispenza audio, and start running up a hill like I'm on a Nike commercial? And honestly, for a long time, I thought it had to be either or, rest or productivity. It's all or nothing, feel it all or shut it down. And I want to normalize that emotional regulation isn't something that most of us were ever taught. We either saw people avoiding their emotions altogether or drowning in them. There was no healthy middle ground, but that middle ground is what we're here building today. Because when we don't deal with our thoughts and feelings, it leads to overthinking. And let's be real, overthinking feels like your brain is running a marathon while you're trying to fall asleep. And the worst part is that you're the one cheering on your mind. Like, yes, keep spiraling. This is so productive. And here's the thing that no one tells you. Overthinking isn't the problem, it's the symptom. It's a byproduct of unprocessed emotions. You don't actually have a thinking problem, you have a feeling problem that hasn't been met with emotional safety. It's your relationship to your thoughts that causes the suffering. You can't stop thinking, but you can change how you respond to your thoughts. The worst thing you can do when overthinking is telling yourself to just stop thinking or think about it more positively, because what you're actually doing is adding fuel to the fire. Seriously, stop trying to fight your negative thoughts. You're only causing yourself to overthink even more. It's like yelling, "Don't think about a blue elephant." What's the first thing you see? A big fat blue elephant, right? The brain doesn't process negative, which is the word don't. So it just hears blue elephant and hands it to you on a silver platter. Well, hopefully not literally. But this is because where your focus goes, energy flows. So when you're focused on not overthinking, your brain is like, say less, here's 47 new thoughts that you were trying not to think about. And you end up overthinking the fact that you're overthinking. Your thoughts are like a speedometer. So the more that you think, the more intense your emotions become. And the fewer thoughts you have, the quieter your emotions become. That's why when you're spiraling, everything feels 10 times worse. It's not because that situation is worse. It's because your mind is going 90 miles an hour. And just like when you're driving too fast, it's easier to crash. And like I said before, where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're focused on not crashing into a pole, what direction does your car go in? 90 miles per hour into a pole, right? This is especially true when we focus on the past or the future. Fear comes from future-based thinking, and sadness is usually about the past. But peace exists between the present moment because your attention goes from what's happening inside of your mind to outside of you. And if you're thinking, okay, Angelina, but how do I actually do that when my brain won't shut up? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because it's not about fighting the thoughts. It's about learning to observe them and shifting how you relate to them. So let me give you a tool that changed my life. It's called the pause method. It's something I use every single day during the peak of my anxiety and complex PTSD. This is a tool that comes from the book, Don't Believe Everything You Think, and it's pure gold. Here's how it works. P stands for present moment. Get out of your head and into your body. Use your 5 senses. What do you see, hear, smell, feel? Hopefully it's nothing gross. Even if it's just the feeling of the fabric of your clothes or hearing the hum of the birds, it anchors you. A is for ask yourself, is this thought helping me? Is it making me feel how I want to feel? Is it even true? Challenge it. You're not at the mercy of your mind. You are the only thinker in your head. You is to understand that you have power. You can't control the first thought, but you can choose the next one. And that leads us to S. Say a mantra. My favorite is thinking. It's just one word. It neutralizes it because not every thought is true. Some are just noise. Other times I'll say, return to peace, or this thought isn't mine. This is because your brain can only focus on one thing. So when you're saying one mantra, your brain is like, okay, I'll just focus on that. Now, E is for emotion. It's allowing yourself to feel your emotions as valid and neutral. Emotions are just energy in motion, hence emotion. Feel them and they move. Suppress them and they root deeply. Here's a radical idea. Emotions are neutral. They're not good or bad. They're just information. It's like saying rain is bad. Is it? Or is it just inconvenient? Two people can experience the same thing and feel totally different about it. One person might be like, ugh, this is the worst. I have plans today. Why does everything always go wrong for me? I hate the rain. And another person says, thank God my petunia flowers were dying and my garden will love this rain. Same event, two completely different emotional experiences. The rain itself is neutral. It's not good or bad. Your thoughts and feelings are the same. There is no such thing as a bad emotion. There are definitely uncomfortable and comfortable emotions, but they're neither negative or positive. And it took me a really long time to understand that all emotions serve a purpose. It's the brain's way of communicating with you about underlying needs. So tiredness is your body saying, please rest. Fear is, I need safety. Anger can say, something doesn't feel fair. And these feelings are what motivate you towards behavior change. Emotions are just energy. And if you look at the laws of energy, energy cannot be created or destroyed. Meaning, when you suppress your emotions, they don't just disappear. They store in the body. Literally. Have you ever heard the phrase, the body keeps the score? Well, it does. Stress, anxiety, unprocessed grief, they manifest physically. Headaches, fatigue, stomach issues, insomnia, all of these things can be emotional signals your body's been holding on to. And if you don't listen to your body when it whispers, it will scream. Trust me when I say that. There is a reason why stress is considered the #1 cause of disease. Why is this? Well, let me hit you with some neuroscience. When you feel stress or fear, it signals your sympathetic nervous system, your body's stress response, that you are in danger. So if I see a poisonous spider, the alarm bells in my brain go off and they send me cortisol, the stress hormone, so that I can prepare to either run, fight, or hide from this disgusting thing to keep me safe. But how does my body know that I'm in danger in the first place? Well, my brain communicates this to my body through feelings. So what happens when I feel fear? Well, my heart rate and my blood pressure goes up. I get a burst of energy and adrenaline. Maybe I start sweating. Well, not me because I'm a woman and women don't sweat. Just kidding. But the body is actually diverting blood flow away from non essential functions like digestion. And it goes towards muscles to enhance physical performance so that you can run, hide, or flight. Now, this is a great thing if I need to run 120 miles per hour away from that disgusting tarantula. But what happens when you're chronically stressed for days, weeks, months, or even years? Because all of that stress in your life, well, your nervous system doesn't turn off. It gets used to the feelings, so you're not aware of them, but your blood pressure is still high. Your digestion is still not functioning properly because your brain and body don't feel safe. And if this goes on for long periods of time, if you have chronic stress, it could lead to a number of physical or mental illnesses like cardiovascular problems, digestive issues, or sleep problems. If you don't listen to your body will force you to slow down one way or another. That's why feeling your emotions is not weak. It's the most responsible and powerful thing that you can do for your health. And you can do this by practicing the pause method. Another powerful tool I want to share with you is something called opposite action. It's a skill from dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, and it's one of my favorites because it's so simple, but also so powerful. And here's how it works. Opposite action is when you intentionally do the opposite of what your emotion is urging you to do. That might sound weird at first, but stick with me. Emotions drive behavior. So if you feel afraid, your natural urge is to avoid. If you feel angry, your urge might be to yell or to shut down. When those urges aren't aligned with your values, you have to consciously choose a different response, the opposite one. Now, why does this work? Because action is a language of the brain. Your brain doesn't speak English or logic or reason. It learns through repetition and behavior. Your nervous system doesn't care if something is right or wrong. It only cares about what's familiar. So when you act in alignment with fear, even just a little bit, you're reinforcing that fear. You reinforce the belief that avoiding the thing keeps you safe. And guess what? Your brain will keep feeding you more of that fear to help you stay safe. Let me give you a random example that actually happened to me. So I was eating out the other day and I ordered this tea that I honestly did not like at all, but I drank it anyway just to avoid wasting it. And I didn't say anything. I just quietly drank it. But by drinking it, the waitress thought that I loved it. So she kept giving me more and more. And I'm sitting there sipping this overly sweet tea thinking, this is how the brain works. Imagine this in a more emotional context. Let's say I struggle with social anxiety, so I avoid going to events because it feels uncomfortable. Well, every time I avoid social situations, my brain says, okay, she must love being alone, so let me give her more anxiety so she keeps avoiding people. That's what makes her feel safe. But here's the catch. If I want to stop reinforcing that fear, I have to act against it. I have to do the opposite. And that's going to the event, talking to people, showing up, even though I'm scared. Not to fake it, but to show my brain through action, this is safe, I can handle it, I'm an adult now. And you might not be able to control your first thought or feelings. You might not even be able to control your first emotion. But you can choose your reaction. You can choose to take the opposite action. That's how you rewire fear. That's how you break this cycle. You don't wait until you feel ready. You teach your brain that the thing you're afraid of isn't dangerous. And the only way to do that is to move toward it. It's uncomfortable, yes, I know, but it's also freedom. And that's what we're all here for, right? I'm not saying that you should just face your fears head on. That might work for some people, but for others, it might be even more traumatizing. So slowly exposing yourself to the fear and regulating your emotions so that you can feel more comfortable over time is what will work. I know this because I've practiced this and I've seen the results, but I do recommend doing this with a therapist. So for me, after COVID, I developed intense social anxiety. At first, I thought I was just introverted, sensitive, shy, or maybe I was just an anxious person. But eventually, I got diagnosed with complex PTSD. So fun, right? But the anxiety was so bad that before ordering a tea at Starbucks, I would have an anxiety attack. I mean, I must have been so worried that the barista would give me more overly sweet tea, like the waitress did. I need to stop with these tea jokes. But anyway, the anxiety was really interfering with my life. There were so many things that I wanted to do, and I wouldn't do them unless my friends came with me. And I hated this about myself because I didn't want to wait for others to live my life. I knew that I was missing out on the things that I wanted to do because of fear. And what I really wanted was to feel comfortable in my own skin. So my therapist encouraged me to practice my own version of exposure therapy. I took myself on solo dates. I went to the gym, cafes, the beach, and shopping alone. At first, it was so uncomfortable. I thought, everyone is probably staring at me thinking, this poor girl must have no friends. But they really weren't. Like, literally no one cared. And honestly, even if they did, eventually I stopped caring. I built enough confidence to take myself out to dinner. Alone, cringe, I know. But it was so freeing. And now I love doing things myself. And the anxiety that once ruled my life is completely gone. The thoughts that I used to have about, oh, are people looking at me? Those faded away. I genuinely cannot remember the last time I felt that way. This is because opposite action and repetition teaches the brain what's safe. So by doing the opposite of what fear wanted me to do, over time I showed my brain, I don't need to be anxious in social situations, and they're actually completely safe. And I'm actually not an anxious person or a shy person. This leads me into one of the most important tools I learned from this whole thing, identity shift. The worst thing that you can do if you feel anxious is say, I'm anxious. Hi, anxious. Nice to meet you. I'm Angelina. Can you see how we often attach our feelings to an identity? An identity is saying, this is who I am, and this is who I am not. You're probably thinking, what do you mean I'm not my mind? And that's a great question. Well, just because I have an arm doesn't mean I am an arm. It's the same thing with my mind. Yes, I have one, but it is not me. I'm a being that is separate from it, and I'm in control of it. So you, my love, are not your thoughts or feelings. Emotions are temporary. They go up and down like waves, and you can't feel one thing all of the time, permanently. So feelings can't be an identity. The only reason you identify as something is because you've repeated that action so much that now it's a pattern and a habit. But you are not your patterns because you can change your actions. Let me explain the power of identity and your words. Imagine that there are two doors. Behind the right door, I say that there's a clinically depressed person. Can you imagine what they look like? How's their body language, their posture, the way they're breathing, or the expression on their face? Are they talking fast or slow? They're probably slouched over, speaking and breathing slowly. Now imagine behind the left door, I tell you there's an athlete. Imagine what they look like. How's their body language, if they're moving fast or slow, how they're speaking. These two people are examples of identities, and what you identify as will control your thoughts, feelings, and behavior. So if you say, I'm anxious, well, imagine what your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors would look like. Think of it this way. If I quit smoking 10 years ago and someone offers me a cigarette, am I going to take it? No, absolutely not. I'm going to say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. I'm not really someone that does that. We identify as the things that we do and we don't. The problem with this is when we say things like, oh, I'm such a procrastinator, or I'm the worst overthinker, or I'm not really a morning person. The reason we do this is because our inner critic gets tired of feeling guilty for not doing the things that we want to do. So it becomes an identity, and we use it as an excuse. We lower the standard for ourselves because how can I be mad at myself if this is who I am? What more would I expect from myself? So your mind got so tired of feeling guilty for procrastinating again and again, eventually you started calling yourself a procrastinator. So now this behavior is both expected and accepted by you. But here's what I want you to remember. You are not your patterns and you can change them. I'm a great example of this. I'm not a morning person used to be my excuse to get out of plans for anything before 10 a.m. It used to be a joke in my family that no one could even talk to me in the morning because I was like Grumpy and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Do you know anyone like this? If you do, send them this episode because it will be very helpful. But seriously, no matter how much sleep I got, I used to wake up so exhausted with the worst headache, just hating life. I wanted to be a morning person, but every time I tried to wake up and work out or do things, I would just feel so bad that I would stay in bed. And I got so tired of feeling guilty for not doing what I wanted to that I unknowingly created an identity. Oh, well, I'm not a morning person, so I can't expect much else from me at the time. What's wild is I don't even recognize that version of me anymore. For the past 2 years, I've been waking up early with a solid morning routine. I run outside, do my affirmations, sip my lemon tea that I actually like. I'm a completely different person than the one that couldn't even say the word sunrise. I changed because I stopped telling myself who I was and I started deciding who I wanted to become. What changed was my identity, because this separates you from your feelings and your behavior patterns so you can better manage them. Listen, I'm not saying that anxiety doesn't exist or that you have to brainwash yourself into saying, I'm calm. And your brain is like, yeah, read between the lines. What I mean is, instead of saying I'm anxious, say I feel anxious, or my body is telling me that I need to feel safe right now. This is a very minor shift that will drastically change your behavior. My life transformed when I made the decision from this day forward, I no longer suffer from complex PTSD. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't have it or that I don't get triggered. It means that I'm no longer a victim to my emotions. I no longer identify as that. I'm choosing a growth mindset over a victim mindset. So when triggers do come up, instead of letting my emotions control me, I manage them through the emotional regulation skills that I taught you today. So I really hope that this episode was helpful and it gave you tools, insight, and maybe even a little hope. If it did, please share this episode with a friend who needs it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps more people find the worthy journey, and it reminds me that you're out there listening, growing, and healing alongside with me. If you want to practice the tools that we talked about today, like identity work, emotional regulation, and journaling prompts, I created something just for you. It's called The Worthy Journal, and it's available now on Amazon. Check the link in the description to get your copy today. I use it every day and night, and it helps me manage my emotions so much better. And if you want personalized support, you can apply to work with me directly while I have spots still open. The first session is always complimentary to see if we would be a good fit to work together. There's no pressure, just a nice conversation to give you clarity and guidance on your next steps in your journey. You can learn more at www.theselfworthycoach.com or click the link below. Thank you so much for listening today. I'll see you in the next episode where I'm doing something I've never done on here before, and it will be the motivation you need to pursue your purpose. You won't want to miss it. Until then, stay well. Disclaimer, the content shared in this podcast is for educational and inspirational purposes only. It's not a substitute for professional advice, therapy, medical treatment, or mental health services. Please seek support from a qualified professional if you need it.